This week on Who Deserves to Be Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we're going to look at the case for putting the New York Dolls finally into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This week, we're going to look at the case for putting the New York City glam rock band, the New York Dolls, into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The group, who have been eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame since 1999, had 25 members over the decades. However, their most famous lineup is probably their 1970s lineup of Johnny Thunders, Sylvain Sylvain, Jerry Nolan, Arthur Kane, and David Johansen, who in the 1980s became an actor and also started a singing alter ego named Buster Poindexter. As Buster, Johansen actually had more success as a solo artist than as a part of the Dolls, as Buster's biggest hit, Hot Hot Hot, hit the top 10 on the American singles charts. None of their original 70s lineup are alive anymore, as their last living member, David Johansen, passed away very recently in 2025. The New York Dolls came out of the famed CBGB's New York club scene that spawned the Ramones and also Iggy Pop and the Stooges, Patti Smith, Blondie and the Talking Heads, and also Bad Brains, all of whom have already been inducted into the Hall except for Bad Brains. So, why haven't the New York Dolls been inducted? And for that matter, Bad Brains, but that's for another podcast we already did. Let's do what we always do and look at the chart success first and then look to the influence side. To the tail of the tape we go. The New York Dolls had two incarnations. Their first was from 1971 to 1976. During that time, they released two studio albums, their 1973 debut self-titled album, New York Dolls, which went to number 116 on the Billboard Top Albums chart in America, and 1974's Too Much Too Soon, which went to number 167. They broke up for 25 years and then got back together again in 2004 and released three more albums. 2006's One Day It Will Please Us to Remember Even This went to number 129 on the albums chart, but it also went to number 8 on the American Alternative Albums chart. 2009's 'Cause I Says So went to number 159, while 2011's Dancing Backwards in High Heels didn't hit the Billboard Albums chart, but it did go to number 37 on the Alternative Albums chart. In the UK, Too Much Too Soon hit number 165, One Day It Will Please Us hit number 130, and 'Cause I Says So hit number 188. They also had 14 compilation albums, 9 live albums, and 5 demo albums. They also released 15 singles. Their most famous songs are probably Personality Crisis, Trash, Jet Boy, Stranded in the Jungle, and Don't Start Me Talkin'. None of them officially charted, though. Granted, that is not much of a Hall of Fame resume on the commercial success side, which may be why they're not in the Hall yet. We'll call that a grade D, basically. However, commercial success is only part of the criteria. If you don't have a lot of commercial success, then you should have a lot of influence, either by creating a genre of music that became popular or by influencing a number of influential artists. Those are the parts that give the Dolls a grade A and should have automatically put them in by now. You see, the Dolls were at the very beginning of the punk rock era. They combined glam rock styles, and along with the Velvet Underground, the Ramones, and the Stooges were at the forefront of the New York punk rock scene. Here is a partial list of artists who they influenced, especially in the glam rock genre. The Sex Pistols, Kiss, Guns N' Roses, The Smiths, Morrissey, David Bowie, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Green Day, Def Leppard, Aerosmith, Hanoi Rocks, The Stilettos, The Brats, Teenage Lust, The Harlots, The Misfits, Motley Crue, Poison, Social Distortion, R.E.M., Rat, Skid Row, Twisted Sister, LA Guns, Faster Pussycat, Billy Idol, Japan, D-Generation, The Undertones, XTC, The Replacements, Soul Asylum, Mother Love Bone, Green River, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Ruby and the Rednecks, Hollywood Brats, the Manic Street Preachers, Hoodoo Gurus, the Scientists, Palais Royale, Marilyn Manson, Jet Boy, Rock City Angels, the Cramps, and the Libertines. All of those artists have cited the New York Dolls as being a major influence on them. 12 of those artists are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, with at least 4 others who really need to be in the hall. Looking at you, Motley Crue and Alice in Chains, it's about time you guys got in finally. With all that influential evidence, what are some of the arguments against putting them in? Well, ironically, it's the same reasons why they should be in the first place. See, some people say they only made 2 albums in the 1970s and then fell apart because of the usual band issues. Well, that may be true, but Nirvana's in the hall, and how many albums did they make before Kurt left the earth? A better argument against them being out might be about their influence. An argument has been made that while artists say that the Dolls influenced them, it was because of the image and the branding of the Dolls, not because of the music. That may be true. However, their self-titled debut album is considered one of the 500 greatest albums of all time, and their song Personality Crisis is one of the 500 greatest songs of all time, both according to Rolling Stone magazine. So, their music did at least resonate with a few people, one would think. The bottom line is that the New York Dolls, simply put, were a force to be reckoned with, and because of their influence on future punk rock and glam rock artists alone, including all those aforementioned bands from earlier, the New York Dolls should finally be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And that is it for who deserves to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We also invite you to check out our other podcast, the Music History Today podcast, where we go over what happened on that date in music history. That podcast drops daily, including weekends, on this channel that you're either watching or listening to this podcast on. We also have the Music History In-Depth podcast, where we go more in-depth into the events that happened for that week in music history. And that podcast posts every Tuesday on this channel that you're either watching or listening to this podcast on. Thank you very, very much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube or Spotify.